All right, had another day of SmackDown. Coming live to your city, inserted here. I don't know where they was at. I don't be paying attention to that kind of thing. But uh, the show was all right. It looked like it was one of those, when they come off a pay per view and they just sort of chilling. There ain't nothing crazy going on. Ain't nothing spectacular. Uh, the show just was sort of like in some spots it was just like beats, but there was a lot of interesting movements and things going forward. Um, it's a lot of, I guess, turns and team. Okay, so we start off with the LWO coming out, Ray trying to call out and talk about what happened with Logan. Well, okay. First of all, KO's on commentary. So that added a different element to all the matches and stuff like that. To me, it didn't really change or add anything, to like it didn't enhance nothing really. But KO sort of fun, so therefore there was like things that were just like funny. He, sort of. I feel like one of the things where you try not to outshine the commentators that's already out there. You sort of want to let them do their job, but you are also out here differently than the commentators, so you got to do something else to. So that sort of was the thing in there. But anyway, going back, LWO out here trying to call Logan Paul. Talking about you ain't gonna get away with what you did. I want to rematch Ray and all this other stuff. But as they all came out after he said that, Carlito comes out. And it's like, okay, cool. Of course, he got his own theme music, so there ain't no reason for him to come out with them, I guess. And he basically was like, yo, it's Santos Escobar's fault for not taking the brass knuckles away from, he left them on the mat, basically, where Logan Paul could get them. And that basically gave him the win. So it's like his fault. And that upset Santos, and he got all angry, and he decided to leave. Ray and Zelina trying to go after him. Then Bobby Lashley music hit, and basically it was him and Carlito, Street Profits, gonna be around. It was an okay match. It in a way, I was like, it still seemed like Carlito's sort of still getting his footing, and maybe also just trying to get, I don't know if it's y'all, but it's also me just trying to get used to like his big frame, because last time we really see, like, I know, like, since Carlito came back, he's been in the big frame, but to be honest, he was a lot smaller than that, so it's sort of weird seeing him being big. Him and Bobby Lashley exchange, like, like the standing suplexes where they hold the people up. But like I said, it was an okay match. Neither one of them really, like, Carlito didn't seem like he got too much going, and it didn't seem like a Bobby Lashley match where he sort of is able to be with his dominance in that way. I was like, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford get into it with the other tag team from LWO, and that caused a little bit of hindrance here. Santos Escobar comes out to try to, fight Dawkins and stuff. I'm like, but they're getting distracted over there because Montez Ford to hit Carlito, which causes Bobby Lashley to get the spear on him. Win. Then they just start beating the hell out of Carlito, and Santos is just stand there looking and looking, and then eventually Rey Mysterio's music hits, which just seems odd because it's like, did your music really need to hit again for you to come out here? But anyway, he does with a chair to try to break it up. But yeah, they broke it up. But then he's mad at Santos. Got Santos. Then he gets in the ring after Ray's there. Then they going at it like, like he's part of the family. You do this, and Santos being like, but it. And it's like, come on, man. They do like a little shove thing. Then Santos is kind of like, like angry about it all. And Ray's like, like, we're family, we stick together, all this other crap. Then I was like, at a point, Ray sort of just like hit Santos, and then Santos just got mad and hit Ray back while he was checking out Carlito, pushed Carlito out. him and Ray started like like arguing. Then Ray like slaps him, and then he sort of like my bad man. I was like then Santos kind of was like now bump that. They push him again, push to the ground, put him outside the ring. Ray try to go ahead and talk to him. Then he pushes him into like the steel to like the post. He falls in on top of the ladder. I mean, not the ladder. Jeez, I said steel and I said ladder. Steel steps. Gets it low blowed him. Then he sort of like gets his leg hammered, stuck in there. And then Santos just hit the thing, squeezing up Ray's leg. Zelina comes out. I was like, props to her. Crying, props to her. Basically, like, he's Santos like he started all this whole thing, and basically just like so we got that turn where Santos turning on Ray, and Ray like he's gonna be out for a while. Maybe Carlito takes over. I don't know. Maybe they try to talk as a group. I don't know, because it seems like Santos is going to be turning, and he's going to be by himself. So, but we already see how that's going to match up, I guess. Then Santos just like basically leaves because he's like, this has been coming for Ray, whatever. Leaves. Yeah. So I was like, that was fine. Like I said, decent match. Everybody's sort of been hinting at the Escobar leaving, so you kind of get what you want from that, and that's cool. But yeah, okay. So then, like after that next segment, Bailey comes out, basically trying to rehab what happened at Crown Jewel. Ask Io to come out, and Kari come out. Then they basically, Dakota comes out. They all come out together, being like, I thought I had a plan. Io's like, well, I also had a plan. This was my plan. And it's like, okay, cool. But last time I seen Kari, basically, they showed a video packet where she was beating the hell out of Kari a couple of years ago. And Kari's like, hey, this is your team. I forgive you. And they all like, hey, you want a hug? Let's hug. And she's like, that's not my gimmick anymore, basically. And they all hug. And then Bianca comes out, basically like, oh, I didn't know that I had to also not just worry about Bailey, but I got to worry about somebody else. Oh, that's crazy. But there's some other people that also don't like you. Charlotte Flair comes out, and it's like, I'm not done yet. And then Asuka comes out. So basically, we set up the 6-woman tag for the end of the night. Cool. I was like, then, there was a drag. I was like, they did vignettes, since they did stuff for talking about like Solo destroying John Cena. Solo gonna show up next week, but that's pretty much that. They didn't really talk too much about it. There's no Cena. There ain't gonna be no Cena for at least quite a while. Then we got Dragon Lee, Cedric Alexander sequel, I guess you could say, because they wrestled a couple weeks ago, and I didn't. So the moves, I was like, it was a lot. It wasn't as good as their first match, but it was a little bit more entertaining. Like, I think the first match went. I was like, it seemed like it went longer, but I think it was also like the difference is that they wowed everybody in the first match because everybody was kind of like, to be honest, Cedric Alexander didn't get to do what he's doing now when he with the Hurt Business. So I think some people that never seen him with the cruiserweights and all that other stuff is kind of like, oh, I didn't know he could do that. But because he could do that, it bring out more Dragon Lee. So that's sort of like the first introduction for everybody. The second one, since they done wrestled a bit, now everybody sort of knows what they're doing. They was able to show a little bit more, and it was more of a match than I was like, even though there was highlights to it, but it felt more. But this one felt shorter. I felt like if like you could give them about 20 minutes if you wanted to, and it could be something. But since none of them got the title, like they're not gonna do that for a non-title type of match. This ain't a pay-per-view type of match either, to where they could get up on a pay-per-view. So they're never gonna really get the time to showcase themselves that way. But they would, and it's also like the crowd wants it, and I think they could show off the match that probably would be the closest between probably what you could sort of see from like AEW, but also what the old NXT used to be when it was the black and gold. Like it gives off all of that in a way that's like you don't really have that in none of the matches right now. They all like there's not what they're doing in none of the stuff. So I think there's a market for it. There's a way for it, but I don't know if they're gonna get the time for it. It's the unfortunate part. But Dragon Lee, they're trying to build him up anyway. I don't think it's not that. And I also think they're building up Cedric. Not the same way they're building up Lee. Like they're building up Lee so that he can be somebody. Where it's like, oh, he snatches the U.S. title. That's it. Like that kind of thing. He's going to be in those kind of that kind of ordeal. Cedric, I think they're just trying to build him up to be. Not saying that he won't ever be in a spot to probably get like a U.S. championship and a Continental championship, that type of mid-card guy. But I also think that just where it's like you build him up enough that where you place him against Dragon Lee's, or if they bring up NXT people, that it won't just be seeming like Akira Tozawa on Raw, where it's just like, oh, that's not really anything. They're trying to build him up to be like, oh, you actually beat somebody that's worth beating up, even though he's not a championship guy, but he still is a worthy adversary to get your feet wet type of thing. But it's not. But you can also see him in incredible things. A little bit. I was like, New Day not a good. I want to say like I'm like a better Dolph Ziggler. That's what I want to say. Cause like Dolph Ziggler, like you never thought he was gonna win any of these matches, but he was always good enough to where he was actually credible in the matches and stuff. You get what I'm saying? Mid's sort of like the same way, but you want him to be a little bit, because he can actually do all that stuff. But okay, but prolong. I don't like long. Then we got LA Knight, who, basically had to cut a promo about being basically his match was hijacked. He was taking over. It was all been mainly because of Jimmy, but he's still, running with this. Then Grayson Waller came out talking his junk. They're going back and forth. They both can talk, so they gave them both promo segments and stuff. Then they got to a match. That guy just like, man, it's okay. That to me they're about the same effect of workers. So you really had them it was like a little bit go back and forth, not too long. I was like, KO sort of, him and KO and Grayson just sort of antagonizing each other the whole time. And LA Knight gets the win because you got to keep him going with his stuff. Sort of standard procedure. LA Knight sort of walks off. Grayson Waller comes back out with Theory. Sort of just getting all up and harassing KO, and then, he threw something at Michael Cole, and then KO basically had to start whooping their head, because they were making fun of them, how he punched both of them a couple weeks ago. All right, so for our main event, trying to say match and event, it's crazy. The 6-woman tag team. So I also think that this Damage Control is, I ain't gonna lie, Damage Control is really weird. They're a faction and they're trying to be something, but they still haven't. There's something missing. There's still. So in the match, I was like, they were obviously they're going 3-on-3. None's really going on really to write home about. You really sort of see it's their pacing, they're just sort of going through bits something's going to happen, or they're waiting for something. So I'm like, the women sort of get, Asuka and Bianca and Charlotte, they have the upper hand for really most of the match. Then they come to a point where they're really just singling out Bianca. She can't make the tag. They're over here doing stuff where they're pulling Charlotte. They're over here, stopping her from tagging Asuka. But that doesn't matter. She's over here, Bianca's super hella strong. So she's about to tag Asuka, and Asuka pulled away. And then it's like, what? That's crazy. Then she like gets close up to Asuka. Asuka missed her. And it's like, what's going on? It's crazy. Oh my god. Then Asuka gets in the ring and she basically her right in the face. And it's like, what did she what is she doing? Is she turning on? And then she just looks at Kari and Kyrie, and it's just like hey, I'm here, honey, I'm here. Um and comes over, her gives a hug, then they call in EO, and then they call in EO, gives her a hug, and then it's like, oh no, is it just them three? But then they go over here and they're like, Bailey, hey, bring it in. So then all of them are all just hugging and embracing. And then Charlotte Flair just comes in and like, what the F is this? And just starts trying to like knock them all down and beat them up. They basically call for the match to be over, even though nobody technically DQ'd or anything like that. But I guess at that point, it just like, it's unfair. So they're all beating them down. And I was like, Charlotte getting beat down. They're beating her all down. Then Bianca tried to, I was like, no. And then like after beating Charlotte down, Shotzi runs down to the ring. And it's really lackluster, not just because of Shotzi, but the way that she also came down to the ring. And they immediately took her out. They didn't even jump her. They just sort of just took her out very quickly. And then she was just incapacitated. Then Bianca tried to jump in. And then they started beating Bianca's ass too. And yeah, then they all five, cut the Dakota on the sideline, just holding up hands, being like, we doing this damage control. So now they got, I guess the Kabuki Warriors and all, like they formed a whole group. So in one night, they basically added Kairi Sane and Asuka. And the Asuka thing is weird. It's weird because like early in the night, especially from Crown Jewels to early in the night, you would have thought like, man, are they about to replace Bailey at some point with just Kairi Sane, and it'd be Dakota and it'd be EO. But then it's also like, will it just be EO and Kairi Sane? Especially because Dakota on the sideline, but you got to think once she comes back, maybe. But then when you join an Asuka, then it's like, well, Asuka is really on the same level as Bailey as far as the veteran leader type person that you can look at. That's what I mean. Not that, not saying like who's more accomplished, but where you just sort of like with the Judgment Day when it was like Edge and Finn, like that's like, it's like Edge is the older guy, so he's gonna get that rub. So you would think that Kairi would be like Finn of being that rub, but since they added Asuka, it's almost like Drew joined the Judgment Day, to where it kind of like kind of thing. It's just sort of weird to think that like Asuka's gonna really take a backseat and listen to Bailey, or that they all three gonna listen to Bailey. But also in this, I feel like they just they're trying to set up women's war game. That I didn't think they would do it on this side necessarily, but that's what it looks like they're doing, because they got 4. I mean, it sucks that Dakota's hurt, but they got 4. Just like with the men's war game, they got 4 for the women. They got 3 of the opponent of Charlotte, Bianca, and Shotzi going to be in there. So once again, it looks like they might not be doing 5. They'll do 4. We'll see how it all goes in the next couple of weeks. But who will be the mystery woman for? Is it going to be Jade Cargill? Is that what it's going to be for the 4th woman? That's what I'm thinking about now. I think they're going to do Woman War Game, and Jade is going to be the 4th one. Mainly because I can't also think about anybody else that's on the SmackDown women's roster. Not on SmackDown. They're all like, Raw got a plethora of women. Even if some of them ain't being utilized like that. SmackDown, they don't have nobody other than if you use Jade. I don't know. It's very, very intriguing. But this one just seems to look like I'm just saying. I was like, Raw's women roster. I'm like, you could ride out that rest of that roster until you get to WrestleMania. Like I said, you already got the 5 women that's already feel like going to be in Elimination Chamber. You could have did War Games with them and just like have like I don't know. You could have made it work. Anyway, that's SmackDown's recap. Went kind of long for not that big of a deal of a show. I was like, it really was really only like the turn with the Santos. Then it was like the Kari, and then it was the Oscar. That was really about it. But anyway, what do you think? Do you think they're already set for War Games? Is Jay going to be the 4th person? Are they going to? Is that what they even setting up for? I mean, that's what it sort of seems like. Anyway, let me know what you thought, how you enjoyed the show. If you like the video, I appreciate it. If not, maybe next time. But until then, I'm out.